You're listening to the New Old Heads podcast, shot live every Tuesday at twitch.tv/newoldheads and released every Thursday at noon via bringingdowntheband.com. The show is brought to you by Coleman Dental, Printfinity, Indie CD and Vinyl. Support the show directly by becoming a member at patreon.com/newoldheads.
You're now tuned in to the New Old Heads podcast. I am Major 7th, and we are not batting 1,000 tonight. Missing 2 of our normal 5 for the crew, but we still here. You know, grown folk stuff happening. They gotta take care of business, so we respect it.
That's batting 600.
Yeah, that would actually be
Thank
fantastic.
Thank you.
You know,
I'll take 600.
those are still Hall of Fame numbers.
Okay.
Not even Hall of Fame. That's video game numbers. Nobody can. I
that's
can't even do that in the video game.
First
Oh, I
ballot.
can. I was.
Those players have the secret serum. So we've talked about this before.
My MLB The Show character through
my
May was batting like 625.
Nice.
I hate this conversation.
Wait a minute. Are you still playing 21 or did you get to 22?
Still 21, but I've actually uninstalled it recently because of 2K.
Yeah, that's a big install.
That's massive.
I really hate this conversation. 'Cause every player you have has the serum.
Well,
Yeah, all these players be like Captain America, Captain Planet.
I
whatever
practice.
captain you
I
are.
practice.
Sure.
You know,
Sure you
get
do.
pretty decent at it. Baseball is hard to be good at, especially the
is.
hitting.
I agree.
I play on the easiest level for hitting and the hardest level for pitching.
I can respect that.
Because
I can
hitting
respect
is the thing with MLB The Show. Like, you have to be paying attention while you're playing it to be good on the higher levels. And there's so many different options, like one, speed, pitch type. Then you're controlling like where at the pitch is going to be hitting at. And
Yeah.
it's just like I can't do that. And typically when I play, I'm just not really paying a lot of attention to stuff. So
Okay, well, fair enough. Jay Moore's
There's my
in the
dissertation.
building. You agree with that as well? And how are you first, sir? Let me ask.
No, I'm doing well. I'll just put it like that.
Okay.
You know, because the thing is, I downloaded because with Game Pass, I downloaded MLB The Show 22
How many
first day.
gigs is that? Just for somebody that has no clue.
I don't know because I went ahead and broke down and got myself an external hard drive.
Oh,
So
you balling? Okay.
it was. It's not really.
Who get 2 terabytes?
Yeah, 2 terabytes.
Okay,
You need
you
that.
balling.
one of these.
Oh yeah. You need
Look
one
at
of
Lone
those.
Stunt. I
Maybe
see.
one of these.
But the thing is, I'm thinking, okay, yeah, I'm just going to continue. I don't like it.
You don't like the new baseball game?
one. And the thing is, since I was playing it on Game Pass, like when the new one came out, 21 was taken off of Game Pass, and so like I was like, okay, I know I'll be able to find it for cheap because if I try to buy it just through the digital store, because I don't like buying physical games anymore. I just don't.
Right.
Do you miss it?
No, I don't. I don't like.
You don't miss going to the store to buy games?
I don't like
and-
all that clutter in my house. I don't want to be looking for boxes and somebody put the disc in the wrong box or
What
try
about you, Lone? Do you miss going out and
No.
cracking?
No, I don't miss it at all. And so
Y'all killing.
But the thing is, even old games, they don't just discount them. So it's like, okay, I'll download it, and they want $59.99 to download last year's game.
That's a lot of money.
So I'm not doing that. So I'm like, all right, well maybe somebody will sell they sell me like a download code, and it was some dude in Australia or somebody trying to sell me one, and they was like, yeah, if you get on my Discord and this, that, and the third. I'm like, yo, I'm not doing all that. That seems like a scam.
Oh, he tried to get you in there to get like a private link
I
and all
don't.
that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Nah,
so
we ain't gonna go that route.
That seems like it'd be. And so I was like, okay, I'll break down and get like a physical copy. But like even when I go to like Target or something, they still want like $40 for the last year's game. I was like, these should be on clearance,
Bro, just
So-
go out to the stores and beat the streets like you used to when you were a kid. Find a location that's got a good sale, cop, and just go home and crack it open like you used to.
I might have to.
It's going to come. If you want the game bad enough, you might have to just do that, because I do that before I get a fake code and invite into some. I'm cool on that. What you described, I'm cool on that.
Yeah. So yeah, I've been. My player has been neglected ever since they took. All that. Off of there's certain games they never take off of Game Pass. They're just always on there. I know this is a mad nerdy conversation, but
there's people out here that actually
they
rock
know
with this.
people who rock with us, they know what time it is.
Yeah, for sure.
But I would still just because of the ecosystem, if you're somebody that understands what Game Pass is, like I told a friend of mine, he was like, I want to get my kid a PlayStation or an Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, well, what kind of games does he like?
Yeah.
It's like, well, like sports and like, I don't let him play the real wild stuff, as far as like the Grand Theft Autos, he's not old enough for all that. I said, okay, well, if you get the Xbox, you could get Game Pass, and usually some version of whatever sports game he likes is going to be available on there, and you don't have to pay. If you paid like the $15 a month, you can get like you can get Madden or
Now,
NBA 2K or FIFA. You may be, you may not get the new version until 3 or 4 months after it's been out, but you will, have a version available.
y'all know
for him
I'm
to play.
video game illiterate because I stopped like back when in the 90s, right?
Mhm.
So $15 a month is a subscription that gets you access to whatever the cloud is, and you can just get
like you get to
down.
I mean, you get, as long as you keep your internet connection and you keep you have access to like hundreds of games.
If the card is declined, they kill everything until you re-up, correct?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So
I'm just double checking. I ain't know if
that's
it
the
was a
one
leak
thing.
or-
I'll be honest, that's the one thing I pretty much keep on automatic payments.
There you go.
So I always have access.
Get them bills. We gotta make sure that we gotta make sure.
Yeah,
that
yeah.
was on.
Look, I'll make a payment arrangement with Sprint. I got to keep this Game Pass.
We gotta
on.
keep that Game Pass.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
so you
Fair
know
enough.
how we do.
Lone, how are you, sir? I haven't even asked you how are you. You just kind of
You
started
did?
talking.
Oh yeah, I'm doing
Yeah.
all right, man. Just
Same old, same old.
same old stuff, man. For the most part,
Okay.
No game stuff.
No game for me today. Usually you try to drop some game, but
No. Only thing that I'll say is, bro, we can't let Republicans just randomly grab migrants and ship them to random cities as a political pawn.
here we go.
That stuff ain't cool, man.
That ain't it.
So
It's not it.
Did you see they actually gave him like fake pamphlets
yeah,
that it said like everything,
it's
and
like all political pawn stuff, man. It's
yeah,
horrible.
because they asked Ron DeSantis, "Will you be sending any of them to Texas?" And he's like,
Yeah.
like, well, why not? It's like,
Well, he's
Next
taking
question.
them. Well, he's taking them from. Here's the messed up thing about it. He's Florida's governor,
Mhm.
right? And he's probably going to be running for president
oh, definitely.
In
You
this
know,
next
the next cycle
coming
for
up-
sure.
Okay.
And no, he literally took migrants. Now these are asylum seekers
Mm-hmm.
from Venezuela, and they have there's some sort of a USA precedent to where they have they can stay in the USA till at least I think 2024 or 2025. So they're essentially what we would call legal immigrants, even though I think the entire idea of illegal immigrants is a bad one that I do not subscribe to. But
that's neither here nor there.
it's neither here nor
Yeah.
there.
Mhm.
So he went and he took 50 migrants, asylum seekers, if you will, and he took those asylum seekers and he shipped them, flew them out to Martha's Vineyard, dropped them in Martha's Vineyard, and Martha's Vineyard is the place where a lot of like rich political people live, right? The Clintons, I guess, vice presidents there, I think. Obama was there, lived there. I don't know if they still do, whatever. But it's not really like a place that is like available to like take in migrants.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very small. I think there's 15,000 people on the island total, anyways, right?
Everybody got paper.
So it's one of those things. Like if he would have flown them into like a blue city that could have taken care of them, it would have made more sense, right? But from this aspect to where like he's making a political pawn with real people's lives, it's just disgusting. It's super disgusting that somebody that is a political person. I hope they file charges on him, and I hope he gets convicted. It's
But it's
crazy.
There's just this level of, because the thing is,
And that's foul, man.
I
just thought about what you
don't
just said. That's
consider
foul.
myself to be a Democrat. But
Uh-huh.
I do. I try to have a progressive mind state, and if you feel like that is more aligned with the principles of the Democratic Party, that's on you. But I'm just talking about my particular mind state and how I see certain things in the world.
Right.
And I just feel like with now conservatives, it's not about policy. It's like expressing a level of cruelty that I don't understand. And the thing is, this wasn't always the Republican Party.
Right.
There's always been a inkling of that, but it wasn't the entire party. This is the same party that, at one point was trying to sell us on compassionate conservatism.
Right.
Mhm.
And now it's just like these people are just yelling "F you" out of their out of their pickup trucks, and this is who runs the party now, and they will do anything to kowtow to that. That the people who ran up in the Capitol,
Yeah.
who haven't been convicted and sent away yet, they want those people's votes so bad that they will be as cruel to their fellow man as possible to make it seem like they're serious.
Yeah.
And I like I said, these aren't even the Reagan Republicans. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, it's different.
It's something different that I don't recognize, but at the same time, I'm like, wow. When people say, America's better than this, I always say, no, we're not.
It's
This
just
is
that
exactly this is
the
a
quiet
segment of
part.
America. This is exactly who
we are.
Now I'm going to say we.
Well, not what you know what I mean.
But we as a nation.
We as a nation. I mean, because this is what we have put forth to the world.
Yeah.
You know, because people see is like, and people, you know, this is why sometimes I'm surprised people even want to come here.
No, for sure.
Is this the level of
real.
cruelty that people are willing to use, and you know, just based on political posturing?
The disregard for certain things is like what you were describing is, in my mind, I'm thinking this is not it at all.
I mean, think about it.
I mean,
the posturing, right? So there's no empirical evidence that any type of immigrant is bad for the United States. It's all a net positive for any type of immigrants, even if they're over here, quote unquote, illegally. So when you realize that, when you get hit with that empirical data, the only other thing that you can really go towards is the fact that white people in general don't like people to invade white spaces. And
it's tough.
Yeah, but they feel like America in general is a white space. For
sure, which kind of goes to my point, right? So, you know, like, these are technically legal asylum seekers, and so they should be afforded the benefits that any type of person who is seeking asylum should receive. And there were some of these people that they shipped off, and Governor Abbott did the same thing, to where, like, you got to realize when you're over here trying to meet your deadlines of legal immigration to be a migrant or towards the United States, like 98% of all people that are coming over here meet their court dates.
Right.
It's not like people are not, they're, you know, people that are going towards, like, following that path are doing the due diligence that they need to.
Right.
So when you take somebody and you ship them to a different country, or a different city, you don't tell them where they're going, and then they miss their court date.
And then you can say, oh, these people over here breaking the law.
Foul. It's just a continual cycle of just Republican conservative stuff that really is just a talking point. It's really just political pawn stuff, and it's really it's foul, man.
I mean, well, since we're there, I mean, look at what's happening in Mississippi right now.
Yeah, the water crisis.
But it's not only the fact that it's the water crisis, but it's exacerbated by the fact that the money that's earmarked, that comes from the federal government, because Mississippi, like most southern, quote unquote, red states who are all about pull yourself up by their bootstraps, they take more from the federal government than they pay in as far as taxes are concerned.
Right.
Same thing for Kentucky, Arkansas, all these places.
Almost every red state.
Yeah.
All the tax money comes from blue states.
Yes, exactly. So
blue cities, really. But
and the thing is, the money that's earmarked for infrastructure, making sure people have clean water, for making sure people don't get kicked out of their homes, making sure that children don't go hungry. That money went to making sure that Brett Favre's daughter had a new volleyball coliseum.
Talking about foul,
you know, and see, this is a sort of thing.
He was awful. That's beyond foul what he was doing.
You know, and the thing is, we won't even get Brett Favre out of here. Like,
nah, they won't.
They'll be like, hey, remember, like, I'm just glad John Madden's not allowed to see this.
You gonna see Brett Favre on a what's one of his sponsorships?
Wrangler.
Yeah, you see him on a Wrangler commercial.
Yes.
I don't see any of this altering anything that he's made off the field or whatever post retirement. I doubt it. But
this is just, you know, like I said, for all the money that Mississippi receives from the federal government, you know, they are the third world. They are a whole third world country in the United States.
It's one of the poorest states.
It is, if not the poorest state.
Okay, I stand corrected.
Like, it has the lowest. They lead the country in COVID deaths. They have the highest infant mortality rate in the entire country, and they have the lowest life expectancy. Like, it is literally like there are places in third world countries that you would do better to live in than Mississippi, and a large part of it is because they won't help a lot of the poor people there, the state government, which is completely run by Republicans, because, like, some of the poor people, like most of the poor people in Mississippi, are white, but because some of them are black.
I got plenty of family in Mississippi.
So because some of them are black, like, that's why you can get white people to vote. Like, you know, these people need health care and the assistance that comes from the money that goes into their welfare system. They need it the most, but because they think some black people might get it too, they'll be like, nah, we don't want nobody to get it. And that's the crazy thing. They would rather. There are people in the Mississippi who are like, well, you know, Brett Favre is he's a good guy, and his daughter deserves a nice.
Sure is.
It doesn't matter that there's somebody's child that went hungry because Brett Favre's daughter needed a volleyball coliseum.
Hey, yo,
That's okay to them. And so like this is the mentality we're fighting. So like that's why when I see things like this, and the fact that in America we could tell people there are places in the United States of America, the land of the plenty, the land of opportunity, where they're just telling people, hey, make sure you close your mouth when you take a shower because the water is toxic. Like that doesn't make sense to me. And when once again, the money is there for them to fix it, but they just won't do it.
Shout out to Shannon Sharp too. He destroyed Brett Favre, and I laughed the entire time. Yeah, Shannon was cooking, dude, and rightfully so. Larger schools as well. Everybody down there.
It's not just that, because Jackson is literally it's the capital, it's the population center of Mississippi, but it's also the one Democratic district.
Yeah,
and so they're like, we're not going to help them.
Nope.
It's a majority black city. That's the
I got family in Jackson.
That's kind of the legacy that they're holding on to in that particular part of the country, to where it's like we'd help them, but yeah, you know how we feel.
All right, so Charlamagne from the Breakfast Club had an interesting comment as it relates to all these rappers that we've been talking about with these recent killings and jewelry and all that type of stuff. But he's saying pretty much that rappers are hypocritical when they say R.I.P., but they glorify the street lifestyle in the music that they make. So I'm not the biggest Charlamagne fan, but as it relates to the type of music that he's talking about, he might have a point here. Now, follow me on this. I don't think there's anything wrong with any rapper saying, especially if you're close to that person, or even if you're not, saying R.I.P., respect to the family, and my condolences. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But what he's saying as it relates to the rappers that then turn around and go back and glorify the lifestyle that quote unquote took said rapper out, do y'all think he has a point when he says that? J Moore, I'll come to you first, because now the most recent one was just jewelry. This wasn't no street stuff. It wasn't none of that. But how do you feel about him saying that? Does he have a point, or are you kind of mixed on your review for that one?
He has a point, but I'm also somebody that gets excited every time I hear Annie Up, and they talking about take chains off. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to act like I haven't enjoyed this same music. Okay. I think the thing that sometimes I become frustrated with, and once you start to get old, you see things from a different perspective. Because I remember how much of a disdain I had for C. Delores Tucker,
yes,
and for Calvin Butts. And if you don't know who that is, he's the if you listen to Thuggish Ruggish Bones, he's like, we're not against these thugs. We're not against rap. We're against these thugs. Like that's Calvin Butts. He's the dude. Right. He's one of those people that will buy CDs from the store and then run over them with a car or whatever. But now I'm seeing the same pattern of behavior that I hoped that maybe we would have learned from in the 90s when we lost so many of ours due to a certain level of just foolishness and low self-esteem. Because like I said, I bring that up, whenever we talk about things like this. I said, self-esteem is killing more people than cancer in the hood, because that's basically, not I know not exactly. Just like when people say, oh, being a rapper is the most dangerous thing. I was like, it's not the most dangerous thing, but it's pretty dangerous for considering what you're doing. It's hard because I understand that some people are expressing their life, things that they've seen, and they're putting that on wax.
Yeah.
But at the same time, a lot of this stuff I can't act like is not just exploitive of the trauma that is experienced in Black America in our lower socioeconomic neighborhoods on a regular basis. Yep. When I watch. Like I said, when I watch, certain hip hop videos and Jay-Z, strangely, not strangely, but I remember him talking about these kids shooting YouTube up, and that was on the Blueprint 3. So we're talking about more than a decade ago at this point.
Yeah. And
you still see kids doing that in these videos. And the thing is, they're getting more play now because YouTube is just wide open. You'll see it's got, millions of views of just these kids that are making this music about my Draco and this and Run Up and my gang and my street. And it's all of them just literally, whether they're real or fake, and just pointing guns and got them all in the videos. And it really is to a point where when I see that, when I'm putting together for the establishment I work in, I put together a playlist of videos that play in the background on our big screens. There's certain videos where I'm like, no, I can't do this.
Yeah.
There's nothing fun about this, especially if you don't hear the music. Like
put Teletubby videos behind.
Look, I wish it was
that would
just
be better.
Yeah. I wish it was that. I was like, okay, this, because of course and once again, being old, I can rap videos used to be fun. People was dancing. It was kind of nice cars because people couldn't afford Bentleys and Benzes then. People might have a Samurai Suzuki in a video or a Camaro, and you thought they were doing it.
True.
But now everybody wants, not everybody. Let me stop that because that's another thing that we need to stop is carpeting the culture with the everybody. It's like, oh man, everything is just like, no, it's not. No, it's not. But I do see an issue to where, okay, I'll put it like this. Remember when unfortunately, when we lost Nipsey
right,
in such a violent way, and there was this quick moment of introspection and reflection, and people were like, stop, we're not going to do this. I'm not going to talk about another rapper or another black man like this.
How long that lasts?
Maybe a couple weeks.
Yeah.
We were right back to the foolishness.
Go look at the Marathon store now.
Everybody was like, the marathon continues, and like, it didn't.
It did.
I wish we would have been as serious about that as we were in the first couple of weeks. But Charlamagne is completely right because we'll say, man, we're praying for his kids, and we'll say all these things, and then go back to like, pointing guns at the camera on YouTube.
What you think, Mo?
Yeah. I feel like there's multiple things true at the same time. This is my typical answer here, but I feel like the world is, in general, as we see it, and as individuals, we're a product of our environments. And I have a harder time putting. Don't get me wrong. If you're somebody that engages in said violent behavior, which is what he's saying, right? And you're saying R.I.P., rest in peace to the people who died, you are essentially being hypocritical in the sense that you are doing the things that you are saying rest in peace to, right? That's what he's saying, essentially.
That's what he's going for, yes.
So in that aspect, yes, I feel like, sure, that can be true. But I feel like it's maybe a little bit of a deflection away from maybe what the root issue is to why that's happening in the first place, which would be, why are people robbing and killing and stealing and, doing all the things in the first place? And
we'll talk about that a little later on.
And but to me, that's the reason.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like it almost always goes back to socioeconomic reasons. And so when we talk about, sure, we can put the fact that, why are people robbing and killing, and why are they doing that in the first place, right? If we break this down,
right?
Why are they doing that? Why? No, I'll just ask you why. Why are people robbing people in the streets?
Last week we talked. Jay Moore alluded to, and then you both kind of chimed in on as it relates to L.A. Remember when we were talking about L.A., the economic status of L.A. and how things are there,
right?
Which might. I don't know. I'm not giving an excuse, but I'm saying it might.
Well, no, I mean,
but that's the question that I'm posing right now, just so I can continue down this rabbit hole.
No, I mean, because that's but like you said, that's something that I talked about. Low self-esteem. Like whenever I see, look, you don't rob somebody else for something. It's because some of you are not trying to just, you're not, it's one thing. Like I told somebody one time, and they looked at me like I was crazy. If I go to a store and I see somebody stealing food, that's none of my business.
It's none of my business.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's none of my business at all.
But if you go to a jewelry store and I see you steal a chain or some earrings or a bracelet or a watch, that is, I'm not, technically that's still none of my business, but you didn't do that because you were hungry or you had to feed your kids. Maybe you can justify it in that way, but you did that because you were greedy and you have low self-esteem, and you think once again, you think there's value in those things because you don't see value in yourself.
But you do know there are people that will be the devil's advocate to that, to say, oh man, I was just stealing this chain so I could feed my family. Oh man, I was just trying to steal this necklace.
I think there's truth to that. I'm not.
That's where I'm going.
I don't even think it's a devil's advocate.
You don't think so?
No,
I think there are people who do that.
All right.
But there are some people that look. I am not so naive to feel that there are just people who steal.
For sure.
They steal because they want things and they don't want to take the long way to get it. The short way to get it is, okay, we're going to rob this jewelry store, or we don't have the heart to rob a jewelry store, so we're going to rob somebody who's already bought jewelry from the jewelry store.
But we're in a microwave era. Everything is instant gratification anyway. So it's like, let's cut out as many levels and steps as we can to get to the results. I don't want to have to work towards doing X, Y, Z. I'm just going to rob this place real quick, flip it, get the bread, and I'm cool. Like, to me, that's the epitome of some of the times that we're in right now.
But okay, like, you know, just going back to what he said, if you do that, you flip the jewelry, and then you go and like, okay, I'm gonna pay my rent, I'm gonna make sure my kids have school shoes, and I'm gonna make sure that we aren't eating beans and rice every night. Right. You know, can I justify what you do? Not really, because you could have went to work, you could have done something, but at the same time, in a way, I understand. But like, if you rob somebody or steal somebody's jewelry, you flip it so you can go buy Jordans and then go buy bottles in the club
for clout.
You just like, you did that because you're greedy and you were looking for a shortcut.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
go ahead, jump in there, Lon.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not disagreeing with that aspect of it. I guess what I'm saying is that if the world in general, if the United States of America, for that matter, since that's what we're talking about specifically, was in a place to where people could achieve those things by working regularly, by working hard all the time, I feel like that would be a different conversation. But I feel like a lot of people just feel like that is not even an option. Like, they cannot reach that no matter how hard they hit. And so, like, the reason why I keep going down this path is because it's not that I disagree with what both of you are saying, because there's definitely, anecdotally, there's different things that fit into this mold. Like, yes, we can always find people that do this and do this and do this and do this, you know, like, but at the same time, if we always break it down to the root cause of all these reasons, and we say, well, why do people have low self-esteem? Why are they struggling in general? We always come to like the same economical result, which is people's material possessions and where they're at are low, and that causes all these other things, and that causes them to do the things. So I would rather focus on correcting those things rather than correcting those people. You know, like, there are always going to be rappers.
What the root causes.
Exactly. Like, let's address why people have low self-esteem, why people are robbing people, why we feel like it's a good thing. Or not even a good thing, but why it's somewhat seemed acceptable for some reason. You know, like, even when Fat Joe was like, well, you know, it's okay to rob him, just don't kill him. Like, what are you talking about, bro? But I get what he's saying. I understand what he's saying, and I think we might talk about that later.
But you know what I mean? You know, I mean, you could say the people, and this is alluding to a conversation we just had a little bit earlier. Yeah, it's okay if we rob them. You know, we you know, rob the poor in Mississippi. We just want all we wanted. We didn't want it. They didn't want a chain. They wanted a volleyball stadium.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, to a certain extent, we've seen people get over so much in this country to where it doesn't even seem like. Well, I mean, if they did that, what is me stealing a gold chain out of a? They got insurance. We good. The
way that I look at this, the way that I set my personal moral ethics boundaries on this stuff in general, and then this is me personally, is like, if you're a part, like, I have no issues with people stealing from corporations, anything at all. I'm talking about across the board, anything that, anything from like that is like built the wealth, and they accumulate wealth, and they hoard it for their high-end CEOs, and they don't, you know, like, anything to that aspect, I have no issues with it. But once you start getting into the mom and pops and the regular peoples out here that are just trying to live in and all that stuff,
they're getting it as well, for the record.
Bruh, that's the part where I'm just like, come on, man, like, at least target your anger in the right area.
If you stole, if you stole a rotisserie chicken out of Walmart,
bruh, who cares?
Honestly, those people, like, when you see what they pay their CEOs and what they spend their money on, whatever about. But you know, if you steal,
if you rob Jay Moore's video games and incense,
you know,
come on, bro, like, why would you steal 12 video games and a box of incense from Jay Moore? Who would do that?
That you know, it really is like, just look, just put it in the realm of you know, our sponsors. If I saw somebody stealing out of indie CD and vinyl, I'd run after them.
Right,
for sure.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, why would you steal from this local, you know, just you know, this local store just trying to provide something cool, not only, you know, just on a local level, but on, you know, they would sponsor, you know, the difference in you stealing from them would be the difference in them saying, we can't afford to sponsor this podcast anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like those things have real repercussions. Like I said, you stealing a couple of rotisserie chickens, even if you stole a whole TV out of Walmart, it's not the Walton family, and they're still going to be able to, you know, build sports stadiums.
What you say, Jay Moore? They ain't gonna miss that TV.
They ain't gonna miss that TV.
They're gonna file an insurance claim.
Now, mind you, do not go into Walmart and steal rotisserie chickens and flat
We're not
screen
advocating.
TVs.
That's not what we're saying.
But we're just trying to make an argument and talk about things in the grand scheme.
If you do get one of them chickens though, and you know me,
you can just you live close to there. You can just go get your own chicken. Just
I ain't
walk
doing
in.
I'm not doing the stealing.
You know, do the fake scan and walk out, man.
Nope. But if somebody
let me know when you do it so I can film it.
No,
and we can put it on Instagram.
for content, right?
Yeah, we
need
need
put that on
content.
Patreon.
Okay. Yeah, we need. Yeah, it'll be.
Yeah, y'all stay tuned. We might have me getting a Cornish hen from
Cornish hen.
Yeah, from Kroger or something. We're gonna put that on
extra.
Patreon.
Oh,
that's
okay.
That's a good chicken.
Oh, now that's what you need to do.
Jay Moore, you've had Cornish hen.
Is instead of out here, I'm trying to take women to Applebee's for their $2.20. You just go ahead and bring it home. You get some Cornish hens, hook up some vegetables.
Yeah.
Get you a bottle of yellowtail and
a bottle of
you know what I'm saying? Make it seem like you do. You know, I'm saying, you know, these women don't. Sometimes they don't be knowing a lot.
Yeah, that Cornish hen though, nice. Fall off the bone if you get it from the right place. Yeah. I'm with you. I could put that with a vegetable medley long, and
you know,
if that's busy out here.
If you know better, do better.
There's truths to what Charlamagne is saying.
I'm gonna go ahead and give him a.
But in general,
rating on this
yeah,
list.
I mean, I still feel like it's super focusing on. I just like it when we as society put pressure on the places that actually is going to instill change.
I like the idea of you talking about the root cause versus. I guess if you want to
why
say
do people have this low self-esteem to where they feel
right.
they got to take penitentiary chances to get a gold chain? Or
I'm not mad at that.
A Rolex, a bust down with bust down diamonds in it. Why?
I mean,
for sure.
There's always a deeper cause. It comes from somewhere, like right. So I get that part, but you said it earlier. There's so many levels to it and interchangeable parts in this conversation.
And the thing is, I know some people like that's a harsh thing to say about people in self-esteem, but you got to understand. Think about it. Like when you go somewhere, you see somebody, and they might have got it through legitimate means, and they have on chain that has their name on it. It's like, look, maybe you see this chain, but you know what you're not talking about. You're not talking about how my mother's in jail. You're not talking about how she might be there for a nonviolent drug charge.
Yeah.
You're not talking about how, my father wasn't there for us because of, the fact that my mother was in jail and then like they took him out of the home as well.
No, Lone is absolutely right.
There are root, like, when you see people who have to flash their wealth in such a real obvious way,
right?
There is a level of pain.
That's
behind
the word.
That.
Underlining.
There's underlining reason for that.
Yes, 100%. I agree with y'all. So I'm gonna give Charlamagne a thumbs up on this one. I think he's on to something here. And, I usually am.
I like Charlamagne in general. I think he's pretty. I don't know. I've liked Charlamagne more the more I hear him talk.
I've heard my cousin James always
for the
tells
most
me
part.
his book is good. I haven't had a chance to sit down with it yet. It's been out 3 or 4 years now.
Thanks to our partners. Dr. Coleman of Coleman Dental is our go-to dentist. He's a longtime Indianapolis arts and music supporter located right in Broad Ripple. Printfinity is a screen printing shop based in Indianapolis, owned and operated by our own DJ Jay Diff. Our good friends at Indie CD and Vinyl operate one of the best record stores in North America. Shop new and used in their site or visit them in person. And the best way to support the New Old Heads is to visit our Patreon and become a member for as little as $3 a month. All details on newoldheads.com.
All right, we are back. Shout out to our partners. We appreciate our partners as always. Make sure if you're online, see anything related to us, especially Patreon, like it, subscribe, follow, all that other good stuff. We appreciate it.
So depressed. I'm so depressed right now talking about our partners. Our partners are so depressed.
What are you doing, man?
This is how you were talking.
Oh, that sounds depressed.
If you see us somewhere,
please,
if you see the Old Heads on the internet, please like us. We have to eat so we don't have to rob people.
Yeah.
Anyways,
let's talk about Lil Baby real quick. He was in Vancouver. He's supposed to have a show in Vancouver at the Breakout Festival.
Okay.
And 30 minutes prior to him going on, guess he pulled out of the show, and they tore this place up. I'm talking about championship riot type stuff after the Cubs won type stuff. You can turn it over. Y'all know how I get in certain sports towns when somebody wins something. These people were going crazy, man. They tore this festival down because Lil Baby didn't show. Now, why, I don't know. It just says the rapper's set was pulled just 30 minutes before the end of the Breakout Festival in Vancouver, and that's pretty much it. So something happened with fam. I'm not sure what it was. Hopefully it's nothing, in terms of them being ill or whatever. But, bro, they tore this place up. Are these fans that did that, are they OC?
What's OC mean?
Out of control.
Yeah.
But they're paying patrons. They expected to see a show. I feel like sometimes as fans we get entitled and we don't necessarily deal with real life things that happens as it relates to shows. Somebody can get sick, somebody can have a family emergency, things can happen, right? But these people were clearly like, nah, we not going. We're going to destroy this whole festival because he did not show, and we're paying patrons. What do you think about that? Because I know fans can get entitled sometimes, but this isn't a good look. I don't even think it was covered like I think it should be, because if this was here, probably see a lot of thugs and hoodlums and all this type of stuff on the news, but I don't know how they recorded or reported it in Vancouver. But what do you think about the fans, man? To me, this is not a good look. Like, you really on some entitled, obnoxious type stuff with this vibe.
Look, last time the Vancouver Canucks lost in the Stanley Cup, they tore that thing up too. So Vancouver is just known for tearing up stuff.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
I'm educated on that.
You know what? I mean, anytime you see go to a show and there's a whole bunch of people on the bill, I just assume somebody not gonna make it, or like there might be a situation where,
especially festivals.
Yeah, they could be overtime. There's a whole bunch of union things that are involved.
Right.
Somebody, and sometimes people do not. Even if it's on a smaller scale, I remember there was this is way back in the day when Fabulous, he came to St. Louis, and the promoter didn't have his money, so Fabulous didn't go on,
as he should.
And the people were upset, but it was somebody they didn't know the mathematics of how it is, like, because usually it's somebody gets a deposit and then they're paid before they get on stage, and he didn't have the money to get him on stage, so he didn't get on stage. He took his deposit, and that was it.
I'm not mad at that.
And there are a lot of times people just got to understand, it's like, don't be mad at the venue or the people who work there. Be mad at the promoter or the people who organize these sort of things, and do not take certain things into account when it's time to get somebody on stage. I'm like, Lil Baby is a big star, and if you do not have whatever it is that you're supposed to have for him, don't expect him to get on stage just to save face for you.
I'm not mad at that. Well, if that's the case, then
so I'm looking at the Twitter thread of the Breakout Festival, and they posted something that says, Lil Baby arrived to Breakout Festival and was unfortunately too sick to perform. We know you were looking forward to seeing him, but these circumstances are beyond our control. Please contact us for information on a partial refund. But if you scroll down, people are like, this wasn't even the original show by the end of it. 2 headliners and multiple artists didn't show. And somebody actually has an image here. I wish it was on that computer. I'd throw it up there, of the actual artists that were actually didn't show up from the original. And it's like Lil Uzi Vert's crossed off. 𝗏𝗏, I think. It's hard to tell. It's crossed out. Lil Baby, Polo G, Brother Babyface Ray didn't make it.
Babyface Ray, okay.
So this is deeper than Lil Baby.
So it looks like multiple people that.
So
my guess is that people bought these tickets maybe as early when they saw all these names, and then the names kept getting crossed off. So it's probably not related to just simply Lil Baby. People are probably upset at the fact that they paid, looks like $300 and what this person say, $380 for a ticket.
That's a lot of money for a ticket, man.
And I want my $380 back, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people didn't show up, and it looks like 3 of them are the main.
I wish I'd have saw that in the article. Okay, that's more context. Okay, good looking out long.
Yeah,
So that saying they were sick, it was probably just a cover for the fact that they didn't have their money.
Could have been.
Like you get to crossing neighbors, because sometimes as somebody who's been a part of like throwing shows and events, a lot of people are not prepared to take that L.
Nah, for sure.
And the thing is, you got to have the money to take. If you thought you were going to sell 500 tickets, you sold 150. That's not the artist's problem,
Yep.
And the fact that you thought you were going to sell this many tickets and you didn't, they still are required. You are still required to make sure you pay them what you owe them.
Right.
And what it looks like from here, and like when I see all these names crossed off, you know, it's kind of like when in the Fire Festival, you know, all those people were supposed to show up, and then deposits weren't.
That's Ja Rule, right? That's the one.
I mean, yeah, if you're gonna put it on Ja Rule, you know.
Well, he was one of the biggest names.
He didn't go to jail. You know, talking about the white dude who went to jail.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, well, it's both of them. To be real. It's part of the promotional.
So they probably said, okay, we got enough money for 𝗏𝗏 and Takeoff, because I see their names on here. We got enough money for
𝗏𝗏, Sheck West. Went out and did his one song.
Yeah, and Lil Baby's probably got Lil Baby, probably the person that cost the most, and it was like, we'll pay these other 3 artists and not pay Lil Baby.
Yeah.
And we won't tell them, and we'll just say he was sick.
Yeah. That's super possible, and this is all speculation, by the way, but it's like,
it's not hard. Yeah, it's not hard to believe that. Yeah, I'm with you on that. Like I said, the one, shout out to Lone, because the one that I saw didn't have I guess it's like a separate
like this is a
report
Twitter
or whatever
feed,
as it relates to it. I didn't see that part, but that does give it more context.
Yeah.
But they tore, if y'all actually go look at the videos though, it
looks like Migos canceled too.
They tore that much. Oh, they did as well?
Hold on. Let's see. Vancouver was not happy about Migos' last minute cancellation at Breakout Festival. So they canceled.
So didn't nobody perform.
So Breakout was supposed to be Vancouver's first ever outdoor festival. For reasons beyond our current control, Migos didn't make it to Vancouver tonight. 20 minutes before their set time, they announced that. For Migos, we love Vancouver. We really wanted to make it to Breakout Festival tonight. We hope to continue to support this festival. We'll make it up soon to y'all.
That sounds like we didn't get paid.
But it doesn't help that the fact that fans dished out $129 for a single day pass, and mostly to see Migos.
And Migos aren't together anymore, are they?
I have no idea.
I mean,
because when I see like
Offset and Takeoff are doing the Wu-Tang joint, right? Ain't that
right?
They doing the joint, so I don't know what's going on with them, but that right there has a underlying vibe of we might have had some issues with that bread. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, if nobody's shown up.
I mean, that's a lot of acts as it relates to that, especially to the ticket price. That's a lot of people not to show up. I'd be frustrated too, but man, Bro, if you watch the video, they was wild.
I'm just going to say this. Anybody who might be listening and they want to, they say when they get into event planning or throwing concerts or whatever, don't. No, I'm just kidding.
I had this conversation on Friday night. I literally was like, man, special props to all y'all that are interested in this stuff and can do this, because I just...
Still throwing events and stuff like that.
Cannot do it.
Yeah.
Being the lead person in that is
stressful.
You can see it on Lone's face.
It's stressful.
It's extremely stressful.
But I'll also say it like this. And this is just, I'm just throwing a number out here just so we can advance the conversation. Say it's going to cost $5,000, which is a very low end on any sort. You need to have that $5,000.
Yeah.
You can't be hoping you sell enough tickets
to make it to
$5,000.
Yeah.
Because say you get to 3,500.
Yeah.
You don't have but $450 in the bank. Something's, and depending on who you're working with, there might be some violence involved. So you got to get it right. Yeah. You got to get it right. I would say, I would say, unless you have all the money, like unless you had, I don't know, like I said, I didn't hear about Breakout Festival until, pre-show when we were talking about this. But it just sounds like to me that they didn't have the money to pay all of these artists up front.
Right.
Yeah.
And they were hoping we'll sell enough tickets and we'll get enough sponsorships and sell enough, Sprites and Cokes or whatever.
We can get these guys covered.
Sell enough parking passes and VIP.
Yeah.
That we can, we might be like some of these people, they probably gave them the last bit of money they owed them right before they're supposed to get on stage. And the higher profile artists there are, the more money you got to give them before they get on stage. And some of them, they didn't have that kind of money.
It's unfortunate, but it happens. And it's really nobody's fault except for the company that took the risk and failed.
Yeah.
Joey Crack. He's at probably about a 50% approval rating on this one. From what I've did my little research, social media. Said it was okay that PnB Rock got robbed, but he shouldn't have been killed.
Is that what he said? This is like kind of touchy. Is that what he said?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
let's make sure we get this quote
when he
right.
was.
No,
when
I know,
was,
and I saw it, but
you saw it.
Yeah.
Like I was about to read his comment because he used himself as an example.
Okay, well, if
he said, "I used to stick up people. I used to rob people. I'm being honest. I'm not trying to front. I'm not trying to front for y'all." He said, "I'm not against them robbing him. Caught him, robbed him. Why do you have to kill him though?" Is what he said. And then, you know, Fat Joe also in his interview was talking, and he did say this is not a laughing matter, y'all, as it relates to the crowd. So he was taking this serious, but the reception has been kind of mixed based off him saying, you know, I mean, if you're going to rob the dude, rob him, but you didn't necessarily have to kill him just because he was supporting a, you know, black-owned business. He's with his girlfriend, and, you know, they just out having a good time. So I'm seeing mixed reviews on that. What do y'all think about that when you see it and you just see the comment as is? Because, you know, it's kind of like what we talked about with Charlamagne. Charlamagne, like, he's right, and he's right here, but this and there's that. So I don't know. This one might be the same way. What did you think about this, Jay Moore, when you saw it? Because I watched some of the interview, and he was not playing around when he said this.
No, it's kind of crazy because people laughed because when you hear it, it sounds
inflammatory.
Oh, definitely
Be
inflammatory.
like,
yeah, definitely.
But there is part of me that understands what he's like. Okay, if you're living that life and you like, okay, somebody got to give it up. Cool. But anytime you have a gun and you stick somebody up, you're prepared, or at least you should be prepared to use that gun. And, you know, or you have to live with the consequences that come with having that gun on you and you're living that life.
Right.
You know, because things get out of hand very quickly. Somebody get to scuffling and somebody said, no, you're not going to take much. If you're going to, you know, because there are people who they get into their Scarface, whatever, and they've been watching too many movies. It's like, no, you want
to kill me. If
you want this chain, you got to kill me. And then like there are people who are like, there's some people who don't have the heart for that. Sure. And so they might try to rip it off them. But there's some people who are like, all right, it is what it is. We're going to do this like you asked me to do it. I think what was lost is, you know, when you listen to all of it, Fat Joe was trying to say how he's living was not right.
Right.
Okay. I think that was lost kind of in the laughter.
Right.
And, you know, and people not understanding the seriousness. Because sometimes when street dudes get to talking and you're a square individual, it sounds funny, you know, but I think
and they're not playing.
Yeah. And so when he said that, I was like, man, that's outrageous. But in a way, it registered to me. He said, like, all of this is wrong.
Right.
You know, but he said, if you're going to be that wrong, don't take it to the level where you take somebody's life.
Which I agree with.
You know, but at the same time, I think he was trying to show but it got lost in translation. All of this is wrong. All of you robbing your brother for material things when he's just trying to live his life is wrong.
That was his message on the actual show. He came back around to say,
so I mean,
that's the whole point of me saying this.
And it's like we have to put things in context. A lot of times we will take the wildest part of an interview and say, oh man, he was wild, and you know, Fat Joe, this, that, and the third is irresponsible. But I was like, when you listen to the entire clip, he was saying like, this is wrong. We shouldn't be having to live like this. But a lot of times we think about the things we just shouldn't do and the way things should be as opposed to the way things are.
Yeah.
And right now, the way things are, people are going to rob you. If you are shining and they see something that that they think even temporarily will make them live just a little bit better, or they just feel like you got it and I want it. I understand so I can say I understand where Fat Joe was coming from. I just think if you didn't hear the whole conversation in context, you're going to think, wow, that was really irresponsible.
It could easily be taken out of context if you didn't see it. Luckily for me, I actually got a chance to see the clip. It just drove the point home when he said, nah, y'all, this ain't a laughing matter.
Because at first it sounded about you know, because Fat Joe has that kind of very affable way of speaking to people to make them feel a certain level of comfortable to where maybe you don't realize how serious he is when he's saying something.
Facts. What you think, Lone? You talked about possibly stuff being inflammatory in terms of his comments. What do you think about everything now that we have a correct context?
No, I feel the same way. It is an inflammatory thing to say, but again, you have to factor in how he's saying it and what his intent is behind it. You know, I do think that there is a place to where I think we have to be responsible for how we say things, not necessarily what our intent. Like we can intend whatever we want, but you know the outcomes matter. But in this particular instance, I feel like he did his best to make sure his point was made, and I think that that's fine. And I think the way I understand where he's coming from with it, you know what I mean? Jay highlighted it perfect. So I don't really have anything additional to add to this. I feel like you guys have already covered it. I feel like that was his intent. You know, if this is a part of your life and you feel like you can't get out of this right now and this is who you are, maybe look at it a little bit differently. You know, maybe try better to not ruin somebody's life, you know, because we only get one.
I actually give Joe peas for taken the responsible route, because this could have gone, it could have gone completely left. But the fact that he wanted to reach out and actually just tell the crowd, hold on, wait a minute, as I explain my story. I give him peace for that, because he was very responsible in his explanation.
Yeah, I mean, as a response to that, but I don't feel like, but to your point, I don't think, I feel like that was his intent to start with.
To begin with, okay.
Yeah, I don't feel like he said something crazy and then he was like, well, hold on, I feel like that was his intent to begin with. He just didn't distribute it, in the way that it was intended to hit.
Well, and I think
when the laughter hit, he was like, "Whoa, hold up, that's not what I mean."
Yeah,
you know what I mean, so
I love that. I love that part.
I think a lot of time, and this is something that Lone very much alluded to, and this is an issue I've had to deal with just in my life, because people, their perception is different than my intention. They'll hear something I say and think, "Oh, well, how could you say that?" I was like, "That's not what I meant." What I intended to say and how you perceived what I intended to say, are on two different sides of the field. Yep. Mm-hmm. And I think that's, and plus people are just looking for anything else, looking for clout, looking for clicks to say, "Oh man, how could Fat Joe say this?"
Bro, there are literally titles of articles that says Fat Joe says it's okay for XYZ to get robbed. I mean, and it's like, what?
Yeah, a lot of this is drama farming, is what I like to call it. I mean, it's clout farming. It's drama. You're farming for drama. You're looking for it. Yeah. And I feel like, it's why I think the intent is, look, I used to like religiously feel like, no, my intent matters more than
your
perception and the way that it hits. But no, I've come back on that, because I have to do a better job of making sure that what I'm saying and how I'm presenting it gets received in the way that it needs to. And I feel like, but I don't feel like that's necessarily anything negative that Joe, I feel like Joe, even though he didn't arrive there, like right off the bat, he got there with everything. He got there. And I feel like that was his intent. So I feel like he did that perfectly fine. Yeah. But yeah, so yeah, drama farming, it's looking for clicks, man. It's just, we've talked about that. It's like, what can we do? Because we all know now, it's mainstream to know that the more controversy that we have is the more clicks. And again, the more clicks you have, there's people out here that are trying to make their life on social media, and they're trying to get as many clicks because they're trying to get YouTube money, or they're trying to get social media money. And
they're trying to be influencers.
They're trying to do all these things, but why are they trying to do these things? Because they want to be able to be successful in something that they somewhat enjoy, and some sort of culture that they enjoy. Yeah, and a lot of times we don't see as influencers, as creators. Now, I'm not saying anybody here, because I know that we don't do that, but we're a little bit more seasoned than that. But there are a lot of people that they're just like, yo, this is the way. We can get there a lot faster if we do it this way. Right. Well, and we can obtain that. We've seen this with academics. Not to throw academics in here, but
you can.
But academics with the drill scene, he saw potential. He's like, I'll cover Chirac. I can get people to click on it. I'll do that. He was drama farming for Chicago violence. There's the same thing that No Jumper has done in the past. Regardless of their nuanced, subtle takes of kind of liking stuff, that's kind of what that is.
Let me ask you.
I don't want to go too side, but
I don't want to either, but I'm kind of here because I want to ask you this, because I know you follow the trends. You're aware of, YouTube and algorithm and stats and stuff. This is what you do, so you know it. I had this conversation the other day about news, quote unquote news reporting. I feel like we're in the era now that anybody that talks about anything will categorize their channel as saying, I'm reporting on the news. And sometimes that burns me up, because it's like, it's not that you're reporting on the news. You're talking about something that's already happened and like pouring gas onto it as you talk about it. Like you're talking about it in
there's a specific term for that. Realistic.
That's why I'm asking.
It's called react content.
Okay.
Which is why I've even changed it. If you're looking at this on bringing on the band's YouTube, you'll see it probably says New Old Heads React to. Okay. I've changed that intentionally because I wanted the intention behind what we're doing for people to know exactly what we're doing. We're not breaking news or anything with what we're doing. We're reacting to stuff that's happening.
There's a huge misconception with that, the titling though. Like I see it all the time. I'm just reporting on the news. No, you're not, fam. You're not reporting.
You're
on the
reacting
news.
Your opinion based upon some stuff that you heard and blah, blah, blah.
This is not reporting. Yeah. It's not reporting.
I mean, think about even this show today, right? We brought up the Lil Baby concert stuff, right, that we were talking about, but literally I pulled it up to look exactly what it said, and I found other information on it.
Bingo.
Even in that small specific thing right there, we didn't have enough context to really report on what we were talking about.
Right.
We should have done more due diligence to make sure that we were doing that in that aspect. And that happens all the time. And it's something that it's super, everybody does it that does this type of content, especially people that do it as much as we do.
Right.
But again, our intent isn't to not have the right information. Our intent is to always have the good information and to always make sure we have anything. But did we, in that particular instance, what if I didn't randomly pull it up? Then we're having an entire segment on something that isn't fully educated in what we are talking about. So that's where that's brings it all the way back around to intent versus execution. You know what I mean? And so, we're doing React content and we're doing the best that we can as far as to get our information out there. Mike does a great job of doing that, obviously, but that's, that's
what happens. Another thing too is it's everything moves so fast now. Things get updated. There's been times that we've come in here with anticipations of talking about something, and it's like, boom, something just happened, as we sat down, and then we have to. Sometimes we miss it. Sometimes I'll catch it.
But sometimes even when we finish, before the episode gets put out, something will change.
Something will change.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a tough spot to be in when you're releasing content, because you want to be as thorough as possible. We pride ourselves on that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But look, it's a lot of stuff out there that just gets thrown up against the wall.
First of all, everything happens so quickly.
Right.
I mean, I'll never forget. It was the we talked about the Drake versus Pusha T.
Oh yeah.
I'll never forget, like, we were getting ready to be like, oh, Drake got him, and like maybe about 15-20 minutes before we were about to record, that's when the Pusha T track came out. So we had to completely change how we were going to react and talk about that particular subject based on the fact that, like, oh, right before we went on the air, here comes Pusha T.
No, for sure.
Yeah. So I mean, like, so when you're a content creator, like, things sometimes, like I said, we record this show a couple of days, a lot of times, unless you watch us do it live. Most people listen to us on Thursday or whatever,
or whenever the segments hit,
Yeah. And the things that could change about what we talked about, sometimes, and that's crazy. Sometimes that determines on what we talk about, because sometimes we're just like,
but it does happen though.
Because the thing is, sometimes like I said, we record on Tuesday.
We'll be like, it'll be stale, or
something
work, or
monumental might happen on Wednesday, and by the time we're able to come back here and talk about it that next Tuesday,
the news cycle's already gone. It's been gone.
Everybody else has already given their opinion on it. Why are we going to talk?
Why
do
we need to add noise to it?
Right.
Yeah.
And sometimes,
because we are doing mostly React content. We're not breaking news. We're talking about stuff.
I used to try to search for topics, and I had to learn this the hard way. I used to look for topics and just be like, okay, I'm going to start now and get prepped for next week. That's the wrong approach. I need to look on Monday. I need to look on Tuesday up in the day as we're getting ready to prep, because that's how things happen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because if we're talking about something that happened last Thursday, it's already a wrap.
Yeah. Unless it's like monumental, or it's something that can...
It'll have legs. Yep.
That can last through time, because it's
talking about an album sometimes.
Yeah, if it's something that lasts. Well, if it's content that I can't even think of an example of it necessarily, but every once in a while there's like a subject matter that isn't necessarily time, like the timing of when we put it out matters. Time sensitive. Thank you.
No, that's just, I didn't mean to go that route, but it's just
cool.
It's something that was on my mind, man, because we have to, categorize certain things when you see it on YouTube, but YouTube is the wild, wild west. That's what I'm learning. There's people out there everywhere doing everything. Everybody got a podcast. Everybody's a reporter. They report the news. They sing, they rap, they dance.
Let's not confuse actual journalism with, commentators. That's the thing that's been blurred, not just by what we do, and we're talking about entertainment and whatever, but like when you watch any news channel, some of these people are not journalists. They're not telling you what happened today. When they get to talking about, how does this affect this, that, and the third, they're getting into commentating.
Right.
They're not just saying.
That's what a lot of the news is anymore.
True. When you watch SportsCenter and they're like, Blue Jays 6, Yankees, 4.
That's
reporting the news.
Yeah.
When you get into saying, all right, how does this affect Giancarlo Stanton being able to sign another contract? That is commentating.
Yep.
That's not journalism.
Yeah, I heard somebody say. I hope I'm not.
The only reason I know any of these names is because I play.
I see. Back to the show. I see. It's like Adam 22. He's like, yeah, we're journalists. This is what we do, fam. Journalism reporting, all that type of stuff. It's a gray area now. It's just a big old.
Now, he does
black hole.
interviews. He does do interviews, so that is.
Is that would you consider
that?
That
Would be
would you
that
consider
would be journalism. I could
journalism?
see where there was there's a level of journalism there.
Okay.
But when you're just like, oh, how does this affect? Oh, I don't know. I'm not even going to say the names.
I know what you're talking about.
But so then you're just talking.
Questioning matters too.
Yeah, that is reaction, commentating, whatever. But it's not journalism.
Yeah.
Get me started on the line of questions.
But then I got my own issue with so-called journalism, but I'm not going to get into that right now.
Yeah, we ain't go down that road. Let's talk about the Heatmakerz though. We can squeeze one producer. Now these guys are legendary. Just off they work with Dipset alone.
Dipset.
Bring it up.
These guys are responsible for me actually being able to tolerate Dipset because I've had friends that forced Dipset on me, and I never really liked them, but I always liked the beats.
Who am I?
Stop, man.
To think a man should never, ever, ever cry.
Stop, man. I'm gonna go down some of these credentials real quick. Let's see. Ice with Ghostface on Bulletproof Wallets. Got a joint on Cannabis. 2000 BC. Jay Moore has that as a ringtone.
I do not.
The Diplomatic Immunity album. Now we getting started. They had Who Am I? More Than Music, Dipset Anthem. This Is What We Do. My Love. I Love You. Purple Haze. Joel Santana the Great. I'm Ready. Let's Go. Like these are all joints that we know. They got work with Jewels and Freaky Zeke, all the rest of the
Freaky Zeke,
diplomats. What am I missing, man? We know all of their joints, the joints that they have. From Me to You, okay. Y'all remember that joint. Back Again, How I Feel. I know all of these beats. Let's Go, Fire, The Ghetto, with Lil Flip. Let's see.
They took a 6-year hiatus down here.
Did they?
Yeah, from 2008 to 2014.
Oh, I'm tripping. Okay.
Unless it's just not, the Discog's not filled out appropriately.
Yeah, I feel like they've done more than what's listed, but like you said, maybe I'm tripping. But they've worked with multiple joints with K-Slay. No recipes, K-Slay. Jim Jones, Cameron, On My Way to Church. Got Heat there. This is Jim Jones, Jamaican joint.
So it's his.
Push It. I remember that.
So essentially, it's their fault that we have a Jules Santana.
Well, I mean, if you want to look at it that way.
I mean, if you like Jules Santana or you are Jules Santana, I guess it's.
I'm cool on
And as a hip hop fan, not my favorite, but
remember that joint he had called Daddy?
No.
Say more why you say it so fast, man.
No, because I don't remember it.
Okay, all right. At least you're honest. Jim Jones' album 𝐀𝐻 which was actually good. They produced.
that's
a
a newer one.
Yeah, that's the first thing where I'm. Yeah, okay. I'm not.
Purple Haze, like they got heat with, and I hate to say it, but they got heat with the Diplomats. Just the production alone.
Pretty much only the Diplomats. So.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's where somebody's gonna get hold.
Like I said, K-Slay mixtapes is mixed in there.
We got enough
early Ghosts, but yeah, we got enough for them. We know what they bring. Let's see. So,
all right.
Influence, impact on peers and upcoming producers. I think these dudes are very influential.
I'll give them a 7.
They had a nice run.
I'll give them a 4.
Really?
Look, I felt
I'm going 7.
I'm sorry, but I mean I understand where they had joints that we liked, but
the sample stuff,
it's
though.
the stuff I listened to. I'm like, oh, this sounds like leftover Just Blaze stuff.
Well, you might not be wrong there, but I'm just saying. I know.
So yeah, that's why I'm giving them a 4.
They definitely are influential.
Are they?
I think so. On producers, I think.
Yeah,
so.
for producers, I would say.
How versatile are the hip hop records?
4.
Now I might be with you there because it's pretty much the same bag.
This sounds personal, but it's not.
It does. I'll go 5. I'm gonna go 5. I'm one up you on that one. Long.
I'm trying to choose between
a 1 and a 2.
No, I mean they're pretty much in their same bag.
They in their bag though.
I'll go 4 as choose between 3 and 4, but I mean it might be a 3. I'll do 4.
5.
No, it's really it's just Diplomats and K-Slay. And like one Ghostface record. Hold on.
Oh, they missing something, bro, in the discography, man, because
Ludacris, Lord Tariq,
Heatmakerz been around for a while now.
Akir, 40 Cal, Locksmith, one Locksmith rather, CL Smooth. I don't know. I'll give them a 4.
The Heatmakerz still working. Different hip hop styles of artists and producers works.
3.
Wow.
I'll go 4.
I'll give him a 5.
I'll go 5.
It's really the same style, though. It's just again, and it's like all diplomats.
That's
or
what
diplomat sounding records.
Yeah, or sounding records. Yeah.
Hit making big cult classics.
Now they got a lot of these.
I'll give him a 7.
I'm gonna go 8. They got a lot of those.
7 as well.
Consistency and quality of material released.
Give him a 6.
I'm gonna go 7.
Yeah, they have a song, one of my favorites. One of their beats, the bass line's not even in key, so I've got to go with 6.
Here you go.
Sorry, man.
How great is their overall body of work? They got a nice body of work.
Decent. If you're a
solid.
if you're a
diplomat fan,
if you're a diplomat fan, otherwise you're just.
Yeah,
I'll give him a 5.
I'll go 6.
I'll do 6.
How often are the songs great from their beats?
I'm gonna go 4, but I'm not a fan of the diplomats at all, so I am definitely biased here. So
I'm gonna be nice and go 5. Melodic elements,
Or
samples or original. I'm with the
7 or
samples.
8.
I'll give him a 7.
They chop,
I'll give him a
I'm
7.
gonna go.
No,
8.
you know what? I'll give him
I'm
an
gonna
8.
go
I'll give him an 8.
Okay,
I'll give him an 8.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 8 with that.
drum programming.
They did I'm Ready, right?
I'll do
They
7.
did. I got to
7.
put my bias aside. They had some heat.
No,
with the
no,
drums.
they hooked those up.
I'm gonna go 8. I'm gonna go 8 with the drums. They lace it. I'm gonna go 8 with that. I feel comfortable with that.
6.0.
They avoided a hog tie.
Yeah, it was looking rough there at the beginning.
What is considered a hot dog? Is it below 6?
I think hog tie is like 5. You got to be like a 5.9, 5.6.
So below-
below
below
6. Yeah, like you said. Whatever, Lone. You know what I meant. I thought about it. I got in mid thought, but you're right. Below 6 is a hog tie.
No. How do you guys feel about big name producers how do you guys feel about a big name producer compared to a lesser known one using samples that you've heard before from other songs? Do you not like the songs as much, or can you tolerate it?
I don't have a problem with it. Just because if you're sampling it, Guru said it best. You don't own any loops. Okay.
Unless you do.
Well, yeah, unless you do.
Unless you do.
But, I just remember this is going old school, but I remember, whoever did Big Papa was not the first person to try to freak between the sheets, and wasn't the last.
Right.
Because then Between the Sheets wound up being Summer Miami for Jim Jones. Shout out to Diplomats once again. And then became Ignorant-ish for Jay-Z on American Gangster. So,
Yep.
No, I have no issue with that at all.
Yeah.
The purist in me usually will look at, if I see Just Blaze was one of my personal favorites. If I see him sampling something that's been sampled over and over and over again, and he doesn't flip it away where I'm like, oh man, I didn't even see that coming, the snob in me, quote unquote, will be like, come on, man.
But that's less about the sample and more so about what he does with it.
Okay.
Because he freaked. Freudian slip almost. Super freak.
I see.
He
chopped that up. Now he chopped that up.
I know, but somebody could, if he said, yeah, I'm about to do this to Super Freak, and it'd be like, you mean the record that Hammer had?
Yeah.
But then, Nicki Minaj has a record called Super Freak right now.
Definitely a different
It's
rendition,
completely different vibe.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's what you think, Lone?
I'm back and forth on it. And I'll never forget, I got beat in a beat battle once by somebody who voted for somebody who literally just used the same exact loop portion that Tribe used on something. And the beat wasn't even better than mine either. But
that too.
It was 2 things. But so that was kind of weird. But at the same time, I was in a showcase as well, iStandard showcase, where I played a beat. And one of the producers was like, well, I just don't like when producers flip records of known, literally this question, right? It was Analogic, I believe, said that. Analogic? Who are the 2 producers that produced for Lupe's first album? It was
Soundtrack
and the other guy.
I can't remember the other guy.
It was the other guy.
Okay.
And it's always stuck with me that he said that, because I thought my flip was dope, and it was different. It was a mandrill sample that Kanye did 2 words with Mos Def on.
Great song.
Yeah, the original's dope, but I think I did it due diligence. But anyways, I don't know. I feel like realistically, as long as there's, I don't know, I'm a fan of like making it new.
That's what sticks out to me.
It's like if you can take the sample and you can kind of make it sound not exactly cut and paste from something else, then yeah, I'm cool with it. But if you're just taking something that's like absolutely the same, yes, prolific. Thank you, Nate.
Prolific, that's right.
Yeah.
I remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was dope. He was dope too, by the way. Shout out to Prolific.
But yeah, I feel like as long as you freak it, I think that's really all that really matters. To be honest.
That's a good question, though. I like that question. That's a good question. But I understand what you're saying, Lone. It can, like when you brought up the MC Hammer joint, he chopped that mug.
But then when you think this is the crazy thing, and I understood the criticism. I want to say who did Thief's theme off of Charlamagne, and then when he hears "Hip Hop Is Dead" by will.i.am, I can understand where he's like, "Are you serious?"
Yeah.
Thief's theme, is that Ghostface? What is that?
No, you thinking about Thief's theme is Nas that sampled 𝗏𝗏, I believe is the
yeah.
𝗏𝗏, yeah.
So, which was dope too, because the way he did it with the drums and everything was fire.
And then when I heard,
slowed down a little bit, it was dope.
Then there was like, oh no, but will.i.am has got this heat. And I was like, you mean the less good version of the joint Charlamagne just did like a year ago?
And it's like an obvious sample.
Yeah.
It's not like even like a B-side Bob James record or something. It's like
if you're gonna do something with something real obvious, and
they definitely took the obvious route.
Yeah.
I will say that, but
those are the type of beats I hated when Nas rapped on. It's like,
on that one, in Thief's theme,
I just
Thief's theme or Hip Hop Is Dead.
Thief's theme.
I like Thief's theme.
Actually, I don't even know the difference.
When you hear it, you'll know the difference.
I don't know what song sounds like. If they're the same sample, you said they're the same sample too.
Yeah.
When you hear it,
he rapped two different songs with the same sample.
Exactly. This is when
that's weird.
But when you hear
really
the two versions, you're gonna be like, I like that one better.
You'll be like,
than
Thief's
the
theme
other
is
one.
clearly a superior record.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I see.
So
fair enough. It's
and
probably,
I don't think Charlamagne gets the credit he deserves, and I'm tired of saying that over and over
he's
again.
had an emergence in the last
nice.
few years.
Yeah,
that dude is talented, man. That's a bad boy on the production. So he made our list, didn't he?
I think
sure
so.
hope so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. All right, man. That's gonna do it for this week's show. Shout out to the chat. You guys were. I love it when you guys are active like this.
305.
Put comments in there throughout the night. Shout out to Nate Jeezy for correcting us on a couple things. Appreciate you, the Flood. Everybody else, Meek, Gobo. Who am I missing? Smooth Hoosier. David. Yeah, I think that's pretty much who was rocking with. Oh, shout out to Harvey Dick.
Yeah.
Corey T that came over from the raid. Paka. Appreciate y'all for messing with us. And as always, go to newoldheads.com for all the education you need this year. If you see New Old Heads on anything, like, subscribe, follow, pay, whatever. We appreciate all that stuff. And we'll see y'all next week. Peace.
Yeah.